Hey Exploration Nation, today we're at Red Top Mountain State Park and we're going to take a fairly short hike. It's supposed to be like about a mile out there and back, and I don't know if they mean total, like half mile out there and back, or 1 mile there, 1 mile back. I'm not sure. I've never hiked this trail before, which is a shame. I've lived here for over 30 years and never hiked a lot of the trails in this park, so while I'm not able to go out on the old trails on up in the mountains that I used to, I figured that I would share with you the trails around here and tell you where they are, show them to you, and hopefully at some point you can come here and experience them for yourself. So this trail is called the Whitetail Trail, and it goes out to the lake and back. And so we're going to check this out. It looks like it's nice and shady, which on a bright sunny day in the summer in Georgia is not a bad thing, but the weather is beautiful. It's unseasonably cool. It's like 81 degrees right now. Humidity's in the 40% range, so it feels a little cooler than that. And so perfect day to go hiking. In the shade, it ought to be really great. So the weather, though, is about to change towards the end of the week. We're going to be back up to more seasonable temperatures, and like in the 90s. And along about next week, they're calling for temperatures around 99. So the heat dome that you may have been seeing in the news lately across the southeast on out to Texas is finally creeping its way up here at some point. So let's go check this out. You'll see it same time I do, pretty much. I've never hiked this before, so I don't know what to expect, and so let's go. Alright, now we're at the trailhead, and let's see if I can get a little better lighting situation on my face. There, that's better. And I figured I better show you a couple of things. Right over there is the parking lot and the visitor center. There's the visitor center right there. And you have to go to the right of the little building right there. There is a park fee required. I think it's $5 if I'm not mistaken, and you have to get a parking pass to be here. So you get one there, and if there's nobody home, then you just go to one of the green self-service stations around, or you can just go to the visitor center right there if it's open during business hours and get one. And here's the parking lot. So you come right down through here, and you have to come around and back up here to this parking lot. Now here's the signage for the trail where it starts, Whitetail Trail. And so let's go. And here's one of the collection boxes I was telling you about. If you come here and that station is closed, and for some reason you can't get one at the visitor center right there, then you can get them right here. And there is a blaze right there. Now I don't know which is which. One of them is going to be for the Sweet Gum Trail, the other one's going to be for Whitetail. So probably going to have to go check out a map here. Hopefully they'll tell me. And here's the trail map. And we are about right there. Okay. Well, they don't tell what the color the blazes are, which way, so we'll figure it out. If not, we end up on the Sweet Gum Trail, that's alright too. Alright, I had to break out All Trails, and which is a decent app. Even the free version is a good thing to have if you're not familiar with the trail. And the Sweet Gum Trail and Whitetail Trail are both one and the same right here. The white gum, cross between Sweet Gum and Whitetail. The Whitetail Trail branches off to the right, and that's what I needed to know, and that's what I figured. It wouldn't have been a good thing to get out there on the Sweet Gum Trail. That is a long trail. Back in the day, for me, it wasn't, but it is for me now, so that would have not been a good thing. So, got it figured out. Apparently, the white blaze is the Whitetail Trail, which makes sense. White blaze, whitetail, you know, it makes sense. And so, we're going to head out that way and see what we got. Alright, red blaze to the left, white blaze to the right, and I think it branches right here. Just activated the portion of All Trails that tells how far I've hiked. So once we get to the end of the trail one way, we'll see how far this is, so I can pass that on to you. And there's the sign, Whitetail to the right. This is an absolutely perfect day. Days like this make me wish that I was back on up in the mountains, because it'd be even cooler than it is here. And this is great. This is June 11th, almost mid-June. And the high today is only supposed to be like 83. Humidity super low in the 40% range. And usually now it's around 90 degrees and at least 80% humidity or higher. So this has been a very nice first part of June. But that's coming to an end. Because come Thursday and Friday we're back to the 90s. And next week, they're predicting near 100. So, it's going to keep fucking tall, goodness sakes. It's going to be a lot harder to keep cool in about another week. But I knew that was coming. Anytime you have unseasonably cool weather, then you have a sudden jump. And wintertime is the same way. When it's unseasonably warm, those 65 days are nice. And we have a couple of spells of those, at least in the wintertime. But the trouble is that it can drop 20 to 30 degrees for the daytime high in 24 hours. So, but that's all right. You see some of the blue sky through there. The weather here is just awesome. Very few clouds up there. Just a beautiful day. And the white blaze, we're still good. And it's not a bad idea to keep an eye on your trail blazes. Just make sure you're still on the trail, because people tend to take shortcuts and you may think you're staying on the trail and you're not. And you don't want to be a mile out of the way, then have to hike all the way back to get to the trail. Now some trails aren't blazed. This is nice. This is actually nice. Here's another one right here. Some are painted on, and they only paint those like maybe once every 30 years. I think in some cases it is once about every 30 years, and the paint is so faded and everything you can't tell what it is. And All Trails is good. You can download the trail to your phone and work it when there is no service, maybe. I'm not sure. I very seldom use All Trails, so there's some things that I'm not sure about, so I better back up on that and tell you that when you download it, it may or may not keep up with how far you're walking and so on. So I'm old school. I'm accustomed to not having electronics on the trail and GPS and all that. So when I'm in an area where there's no service, and there's many places in North Georgia where there is absolutely zero service, then you have to do it the old-fashioned way. And many hikers, many experienced hikers still carry paper maps, and they recommend that. I recommend that. Now for this little short hike, it's just straight out and straight back. If we get lost here, I don't know. And we're coming up on the lake. Now there were a fair number of people here when I got here, and there's only like 2 couples going in and a bunch of people coming out. So expect some people here. That is pretty. And of course, trash, and I forgot to bring a plastic bag and my plastic gloves. So, nuts. Paper towel trash. Hopefully that was not intentional and it just fell out of somebody's pack or something and they didn't realize they dropped it. I like to think that, but I have been miles out in the wilderness and found beer cans and soft drink bottles just the same 4 or 5 miles in. So I'm trying to be optimistic though. And it sounds like there's a family down here making memories. I have fond memories of my parents and I when I was growing up on our outings to lakes and to the woods, parks. And beautiful butterfly. Let's zoom in on that. Surprised he stayed here this long. Alright, heading on out here. Another sign ahead. And they've got a blaze with an arrow. That's really nice. Most of the trails I've hiked in the past didn't have arrows or anything. It's a good idea to stop every so often and look for your next blaze. Now on this trail, you see it's nice and wide, easy to follow, but not all trails are. So when you don't have a blaze like right there or anything like that, it's a good idea to look down the trail and make sure that you're still on the trail, because even way out you still have people shortcutting, and shortcutting a lot, where it looks like you're on a trail and you can end up being lost back in the woods somewhere. Especially if it's a popular like bathroom spot and doesn't go anywhere, just dead ends in the woods somewhere, and it's aggravating to have to backtrack. There's the next blaze. You have to watch for the roots here. A lot of roots and rocks sticking up out of the ground, so if you're a sloppy hiker like me, be sure and look down. I'm surprised I haven't tripped over something already. And there's more of the lake. Lake Allatoona is a 12,000 acre reservoir that was started before the Second World War. When the war started, the materials were rerouted to the war effort, and then at the close of the war, construction was resumed, and I believe the lake was impounded about 1945, I think. Maybe 46, who knows. My grandfather helped build the dam. He was working for a company, one of the companies that contracted to build it. Now right here, you can go to the right, which you're not really supposed to, but I don't think anybody cares, right here. And you can go swimming here. You can hear people swimming there, like right in there. It's a family here. And so swimming's allowed, so is fishing. It's just a nice little getaway. The trail actually goes across the wooden bridge right here. As I said earlier, expect to encounter people here. That's a family back there, and this is on a Tuesday afternoon on a work day. And usually you can get away from people, but it's not crowded. Just encountered the couple that went in a while ago, heading back. But keep in mind that this park is located on the closest reservoir to Atlanta. From north of Atlanta to here, you can be here in about 45 minutes. So that's a little after work outing for a lot of people. So if you want quiet and solitude and nobody around, you might not want to come here. Although coming here early in the morning when the park opens, might not be anybody here early on a weekday. But there's even trails up in North Georgia in the mountains that are rated as moderate and strenuous that are jam-packed on weekends, so hard to get away from. And I don't like big crowds when I'm out hiking, but like this, that's fine. Makes me think back to my own childhood when my parents took me to places in the Northeast Georgia mountains. These folks are making forever memories back here, and that's fine by me. Quite all right. So I think I can have a little bit of noise, children yelling and talking, having a good time. And to me, that's sounds of joy anyhow, so I don't mind. All right, let's go back to the trail. Now this is a good example. If this were a difficult to follow trail, which it's not, you can see it's actually wide enough for a vehicle, and that's probably by design, so they can get vehicles back here to do things like clear fallen trees and things like that, or maybe rescue somebody that's gotten hurt back here and can't hike back out. So that's probably by design. But as you can see, no blazes. Let's back up here to this tree, and behind this tree, no blaze, no blaze, and at first glance, no blazes. So it's a good idea to pause if you're on a difficult to follow trail and look for a blaze before you start moving again. I see one right down there, so we can keep going. And just a little tip for beginning hikers that may not be on an easy to follow trail like this. Although so far this has been easy. And it's nice to be next to the lake. There's a small hill right there. I'll have to look up the elevation gain when we're here. Those of you who've got some experience hiking, you like to know the elevation gain, so I'll give you that when we get down here to the end. I'm thinking about halfway to the end. We're out on the peninsula now. Lake on both sides, and that's where the trail ends. So we'll look that up. And I'll also look up the distance one way and see what it's looking like. Well, if you wanted to come back here and fish, this wouldn't be a bad walk to carry fishing gear. Depending on what you're fishing for, keep it light. Maybe not bring your regular tackle box, but a small one with what you have in it to fish for whatever it is you're going for here. I'm planning on being out here more. And share other trails with you. And hopefully in the not too distant future I can build my strength and stamina back up to the point where we can tackle some of the trails that I used to years ago and show them to you. Gorgeous countryside up there, but this is beautiful back here too. And the trail is coming to an end right here. And this, if you're a bass fisherman, might not be a bad place to fish. Now, bass are hard to come by in this lake. You wouldn't think so. But I was just telling a couple that was asking me if it was okay to fish here, and told them yes it is, and gave them directions to the closest point to fish. And they were going to be fishing for crappie and brim. But bass fishermen refer to this as the Dead Sea. Bass are very hard to pull out of here. The lake has a good bass population, but the trouble is that when they built the lake, they scraped the whole area totally clean and left no structure for the bass to hold on to. So it's difficult, not impossible, but it's difficult. So if you want to bass fish here, go ahead. The idea is to get out and enjoy it, and I've spent many hours here fishing, coming up dry, but enjoyed it anyway. And as the old saying goes, it's a bad day fishing is always better than a good day at work. Got that right. There's some rocks right down there. There might be some of the brim and crappie holding to those rocks. Might be a little bass or two. Maybe 1 to 2 pounds maybe. It's coming towards the bank. I smell a little bit of a fish smell, so there's a school of fish somewhere. And they're, oh yeah, that's strong coming from that direction. And when it's that strong, it's usually small fish that are schooled up, so it's probably shad that are schooled up out there somewhere. And I don't see any bass blowing up on it. Okay, I'll check all trails and see what we got. Get through the ad there. the elevation gain has been 26 feet, so that's more or less pretty level. Took 36 minutes, but that includes stopping and talking to those people back there and taking my time. I have to take my time. And I went 1.6 miles per hour. And let's see, 0.6 of a mile. So it's going to be about 1 2/10 miles here and back. So 0.6 of a mile right here. And it's an easy hike. So I didn't have to stop like I did a couple of months ago. Well, actually 3 or 4 months ago on a half miler here in the same park. I kept going, so that's a good thing. Means things are getting better. Okay, that was a nice hike. Didn't take a real long time. So let's check the mileage here. If I can get my phone up, there we go. And there we go. Pause it. And finish. Alright, distance 1.22 miles, elevation gain 82 feet, all in that one hill. Oh, that got me. An hour and 1 minute, so if you're coming here after work or some other time when the time is limited, then if you allow an hour, you should be alright. Well, that's it for today. I really appreciate you coming along. Information about the park will be in the description below, and also as a pinned comment. I'll put it there also, so it'll be easy to get to. I'm glad you came along. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.